Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to today's level of discussion. It's so wonderful to have you here joining me. Wherever you're doing, I'm hoping you're enjoying this beautiful April day. Let's get started.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Market update. Speed round. Award-winning financial pro. And now, get ready. I present to you Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. I'm Winnie, your host, an award winning financial pro, a Forbes contributor, and a CNBC Council member and contributor. I'm so grateful to be sharing this beautiful April day with you. I hope that you had a wonderful Easter weekend. Welcome to the show. We are streaming here live on many different social media platforms. So definitely jump in, say hello. Don't be shy. I already see a lot of friends joining us today. Awesome to spend some time with you. Let's talk about the market. And I say that with hesitation because I wish I had better news for you, especially since it's like the first week of April. But unfortunately, not so much. The market, unfortunately, is down heavy. The Dow is currently down 480 points. The Nasdaq is down 187 points currently, and the S&P 500 is also down 47. And Wall Street's definitely having sort of a rough start this week. And you know, we know that Dow Jones is down. We know that all the stock indices are down, but you might not know why it's down. So I thought I would share with you. So some of the things that we're concerned about on the financial markets, of course, is rising bond yields, and of course, what the Federal Reserve will be doing to interest rates come June, just in 2 months. We continue to have high inflation data coming in and strong economic data here in the United States, which you would think would be a good thing, but that is unfortunately not such a good thing when you're trying to lower and mitigate inflation. And so now with the strong economic data, there's less of a likelihood, this is according to many analysts, of an immediate or quick federal rate cut for investors, for those who are looking to purchase a new home and perhaps dealing with credit card debt. You don't like rising interest rates. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's coming down anytime soon. So some of that is feeding into the markets today. So you're definitely seeing a lot of pullback across the board. Sectors such as energy, those are areas that are continue to be drawing back as well as technology. So technology is down today as well. We're seeing some of that um, happening early now and first week of the next quarter. So we'll see how it unfolds. But this is Earth Month. A lot of things could happen. We'll continue to follow the news. But let's talk about some of the big stories that have been coming out this week. And this one, I want to kick it off, is with Google. Now, how many of you, show of hands, jump in the comments here, how many of you have used Google's incognito mode? Okay. Now, I'm guessing many of you have. Now, I know I certainly have. Sometimes it was just like I don't want them to like know my browsing history, and I just want to see if maybe if I'm checking incognito for flight prices is going to be less expensive than if they know who I am and whatnot. So sometimes I like to do that. Well, this was an article shared on NPR, and it's actually an article, a story that's shared across many financial publications today, talking about. This is by Bobby Allen, in fact, talking about how Google has been under some heat under their Chrome's incognito mode. So think about this. If you're going to be searching on Chrome's incognito, what do you think that means? You're probably thinking they don't know who it is that's searching and perhaps you're not tracking your data. Well, that unfortunately isn't so much the case. So, because of that, now Google is announcing that it's going to do a mass data deletion of all these records that actually were collected during Chrome's incognito mode. They're going to be destroying billions of records. In fact, this is to settle a lawsuit concerning its tracking purposes and practices. So, despite the belief that you and I probably have about incognito mode's privacy, Google actually was found to be collecting data through third party advertising tools. And they were using this for web traffic analysis and ad sales. I see Brian Schumann in the house on LinkedIn. And Brian, I'm curious to see how you feel about this. I'm guessing you've used incognito mode before. Did you feel like this was something that you expected, or and it's interesting about the story because actually I believe this story was brought out and this information was brought about because of Google's own employees. But this is stemming from a 2020 lawsuit, and this settlement sort of highlights Google's undisclosed data collection despite the fact that we thought that this meant we were doing private browsing, which wasn't completely the case. So Google is now going to amend incognito mode. So if you're using it, you need to know because they're going to share new disclosures. They're going to tell you that Google can track us when we are in incognito, and that it will also block third-party cookie tracking by default incognito sessions. But that being said, we're not going to receive any financial compensation from the past. However, the story does say that if you live in California, like I do, I'm not going to do this, but um, you could actually sue Google if you're in California for privacy breaches. But Google says that they say that this data that was collected was never linked to individuals and it was just used for personalization. And they're saying that, they're relieved that they're avoiding the potential $5 billion lawsuit payout, but they have to obviously make some changes and make sure that anything that they do as it relates to collecting data needs to be disclosed to us. And so the Department of Justice lawsuit over search is really just another bit coming from like their search monopoly and other things in terms of advertising tactics and things like that. So I'm curious to see how you feel about that. You like it? You not like it? I mean, I feel like these days, if you're on the internet, you pretty much have to assume somebody's watching or somebody's collecting your data. Not to say that it's a good thing or it's the right thing, but I feel like we have to be sort of reasonable and assume that for ourselves, right? And protect ourselves. So, documents have revealed that Google employees critiqued incognito mode and there are misleading privacy claims, which just suggests that transparent communication about Google's tracking abilities were necessary and important for this to take place. So, yeah, so that's with Google. And let's segue to more. Goodness, the market's down. I don't have so much good news for you, but you know what? It's business news and it's important that we stay aware of what's happening. Now, let's talk about my next story. And this is the big one, too. For those of you who are concerned about your data, let's continue to something that I think many of you should be paying attention to. Now, if you are an AT&T user or were an AT&T user, I think you're going to want to pay attention to this. This is what you need to know. There was a huge AT&T data breach. Okay. This was a significant data breach affecting millions of its not only current and former customers, but this includes sensitive information appearing on the dark web. Now, this leak doesn't just include like your phone numbers and things like that. They're talking it involves social security numbers and passcodes for approximately 7.6 million current and 65.4 million former account holders. So if you've ever had AT&T, this is something that you'll want to pay attention to because they're talking about compromised data dating back all the way to 2019 or even earlier than that. And it's not quite clear whether the data originated directly from AT&T or from one of its vendors, but nonetheless, this data has been breached. And the company is now initiating an in-depth investigation. So what does that mean for you and I? Well, that means that if like I have AT&T still. So I haven't seen this yet, but perhaps you have. You're going to be informed via email or regular mail, letting you know that this has taken place. AT&T is, of course, resetting passcodes of affected customers and users, and they're also offering credit monitoring services. So if you have AT&T or you've had AT&T, I would definitely recommend that you look into taking advantage of these credit monitoring services that they're offering you. We might also get it so that way we can make sure personally that our information is safe and if there's any changes, right? The other thing I would recommend too is for those of you who maybe use Experian, TransUnion, I would actually temporarily freeze your credit from being used. And why this is important is this. You don't want it to be frozen if like you're applying for a new credit card or you're, applying for a new mortgage or other loan, maybe a car loan. But if you're not doing those things right now, it doesn't hurt you to freeze your credit score yourself. And what that means is people can't pull your data, right? So you can have control over this. So now this is not the first time that AT&T has faced these data security challenges. Certainly this has happened in the past, including in 2021. But nonetheless, this just talks about the vulnerability. So to safeguard this, really they're saying that these are the things that you should do. Of course, make sure you have stronger passwords. And if you can, have multi factor authentication and just be really diligent about monitoring your own account activity. I would actually recommend setting up with the credit monitoring services to push a notification anytime there's an inquiry or someone's looking into it. You just want to make sure that you're in control and you're always in the know. And especially for those of you who have like senior family members, like I do, older family members, a lot of them have AT&T as well. Check into them, look into them, and try to help them with this as well. All right. All right. Talking about changes, talking about big companies, let's talk about another one. And this is with Amazon. I want to share this story with you, and I want to get your feel of how you feel about this. It is great to see CrossX Fighter joining us on YouTube live as well. Thank you so much for being here. Let's talk about Amazon. I was just thinking this the other day. How many of you have gotten a brown box delivery this week from Amazon, or maybe last week? I definitely did. And I was just thinking to myself, like, so many boxes, right? We got to break them down, got to recycle them, but it just seems like such a waste. And is there a way to mitigate this waste? And I don't know, but I think Amazon is proposing some sort of changes to sort of help eliminate some of their signature brown boxes. And I'm curious to see how you feel about this. This is being shared by Ellen Shang at CNBC. They want to try to dramatically reduce the reliance of traditional brown shipping boxes and sort of going to a more environmentally friendly packaging solution. So they're saying they're now going to do more of a ships in product packaging initiative, where 11% of Amazon's global orders in 2022 were actually dispatched in original manufacturing packaging, bypassing the whole Amazon boxes. I got one of these packages recently. I bought one of those like Amazon like new items where it was already opened and it was shipped to me in the original packaging. And I thought that was like, I actually didn't think it was an Amazon delivery. I thought it was something else, but nonetheless, it was from Amazon. And so they're trying to do that more so. And they're saying that they're going to try to deliver packages in original packaging from brands such as Clorox, Starbucks, and McDonald's. I'm thinking that they can expand more, but probably it takes time to, funnel this through. But they're going to do more testing. I guess Amazon does a lot of testing with rigorous testing of how things are shipped and if they arrive safely and whatnot. But they're trying to encourage more of their vendors to be able to send things in package friendly boxes. And in fact, they were saying that one company that they looked at was Go North Group, for example. They discovered that 80% of the products that they sell could be shipped in their original packaging. So my question to Amazon and whoever's watching as well is, okay, so if you're not sending us things in the brown box, does that mean that that will also trickle to savings for the consumer? Right? Because as we buy things from Amazon, we recognize that part of the convenience is that things come quickly and they get shipped in boxes that we know are reliable. And of course, that there's a sort of reasonable return policy on the things that we purchase. So if you're not shipping them and you're saving a lot of money, I'm sure with not sending things in those brown boxes, does that mean that we'll save some money for the consumer as well? I imagine many of you are thinking the answer is no, but I was hoping that perhaps the answer was maybe or possibly, right? Because we do know that one of the studies was shown, here in California, it's a big thing where they no longer give you um, default shopping bags when you go to the grocery store or if you go to Target and whatnot. Like they're trying to encourage you to bring your own reusable bag. Well, what really happened is that some people would use reusable bags. I did definitely for a long time. But then, like, out of convenience, sometimes you just pop into the store and you need to get your things, or it's impromptu visit, and so you pay 10 cents or 15 cents a bag, and so it doesn't really solve the problem. It just sort of put that to the consumer to spend money on, again, packaging that you used to get for free. So I'm not sure the answer to that, but I think it's something that we need to consider, because factors like completely changing the way of consumer activities, if in fact you're trying to reduce waste and help the environment, then it needs to be more sustainable. And we know, from if you go to the supermarket now, you can probably you probably can see that it wasn't quite sustainable, because many people still don't bring reusable shopping bags. It worked for a while and it doesn't seem to be sustainable long term. So hopefully they can with a better solution to that. But I do think that's great. I mean, the less packaging, the less brown boxes, um, probably great for the environment. And let's be honest, like probably helps with saving your time too, of finding ways to dispose and recycle those boxes as well. All right, next story for you. And this is a big one. This is talking about travel. Now, this one also comes from my friends at CNBC. Monica Paterelli writes about this, talking about luxury travel. Now, I know some of you listening may not be in the market for luxury travel, but I think it's something for us to pay attention to, because luxury travel can mean different things for different folks, right? Luxury travel prices have soared significantly post pandemic. And I think this is a big story, because luxury travels, we're talking about obviously hotels or accommodation stays, and even like luxury train journeys. I just saw this story talking about, like, in Italy, there's a course has this La Dolce Vita Orient Express. All right. So basically, they have like these queen or king size, like very elaborate beds inside trains. And get this, some many of the travel experiences for what they would consider luxury has increased. Like from like July 2024, for example, there was a witnessing an 85% increase in travel from 2019 level. So in July of 2024, which is still a couple months away, that much of an increase that they know in the pricing of goods, because people are paying for this stuff ahead of time. So from 2019 levels, a lot of travel has increased by 70%, and some all the way to 85% on those like really popular months such as July. Now, so luxury travel in terms of train prices have gone up, and in terms of hotel prices has gone up across the board. Now, they're showing that the willingness of the wealthy travel to pay premium prices has really just been solidified. They're okay with paying higher prices for luxury. But that has also, unfortunately, gone into not only the wealthy and ultra wealthy, but that's also impacting many of us who are maybe not in that same demographic. This continuous level of being able to pay for ultra high level travel makes it so that there's also pressure in sort of that budget and mid-scale travel areas as well, because you're talking about the same amount of, you know individuals, in terms of you need employees and you need real estate and you need experiences. So what does that mean? That if brands are realizing that the ultra wealthy are able to pay higher prices and absorb more higher inflation levels, then that might mean that they're now moving some of their properties or experiences towards that higher level. So in essence, there's still more competition, and that also makes for more people having to pay higher prices if they decide that they do want to travel. So travelers in those sort of like luxury levels, they, I guess, they benefit from, I guess they benefit because they don't have to have so much competition possibly, and they can book more last minute. But travelers in sort of that lower to mid level, well, the ways that we can save money is to do early booking discounts, right? Take advantage of those. And maybe sometimes last minute deals, we have to take advantage of those. But luxury, that's sort of not as relevant in the high end market. They don't really have to book early. They can do so last minute because there's probably less competition in that area. But so despite economic uncertainties and sort of that flattening activity in certain regions and inflation, right, and higher labor costs, well, luxury travel doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. And so those with sustained wealth and high net worth, well, things are just going to get more expensive. So it is what it is. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't impact the rest of us, but nonetheless, I think it's an interesting story. And it's something for us to think about as we make our own financial decisions for our households and, of course, budgeting for our future travel. If we're looking for that really high end experience, just know it's getting a lot more expensive. Let's take a look at market and let's see where we're at currently. The Dow is currently down 466 points. The Nasdaq's down 184 currently, and the S&P is down 45 points as well. So it doesn't look like it's getting any better, but we've still got about an hour and a half left in the financial markets. With that, I hope that you have a beautiful week. I'll definitely look forward to catching up with you next week. I am making some changes in our studio and whatnot, so I won't be coming to you live this week, but I will certainly see you again next week. Thank you so much for being a part of Level Up. Please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest contents and to watch full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun. You can check out NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, Samsung, LG, Roku, and of course, check out Yes Factor with Winnie Sun on Apple Podcasts or wherever you tune in to podcasts with the LinkedIn Podcast Network. Thank you so much, my friends. Have an amazing week. I'll see you very, very soon. Take care, be well, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye now.